breath.
That's another dynamic of it.
Right.
This is why you explain and you talk it out, because now
She can work
what
through
we're
it.
doing is we're teaching her to work through her emotions so that now she's not a preteen or a teenager or an adult and she don't know how to process nothing that she's going
Right.
through.
Let's hope.
Now she can identify, okay, I'm frustrated, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm whatever the case may be. Okay, now why are you sad?
Mhm.
Now, or why are you angry? Okay,
Right.
now let's talk about this. Now we know why. Now we know what you are. Now
Mhm.
let's talk about why,
Mhm.
how you got there, and then
Mhm.
let's talk about whether or not you should be there, or what we learned from the situation.
Right. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Life After I Do. I'm your host, Nisha G, and I am here with
Your husband,
my husband, Mo Lethal.
Lethal. Hey, baby,
Hey babe, how's it going?
it's going, boo. How you doing?
Um, a little bit in pain.
I'm sorry.
We were sitting down getting ready to record, and I asked him to toss me my lotion. And the edges on the bottle of the lotion, it's kind of sharp because it's like really, really thick plastic. And when he tossed it over to me, the corner of the bottle of the lotion went straight into my hip, and I'm like bleeding on my hip and
I didn't know.
scratch.
I didn't know I was that strong. It wasn't like I threw a fastball. I literally threw a
Well,
floater.
you threw a spin because it had like a spin on it,
I
like
threw a floater. Don't.
it
How you
was
putting
it
that
was
two
like
on?
a football. Like
How you doing, baby?
I'm good. My hip is burning, but other than that,
How's your week?
um, my week was pretty packed. Baby girl had started dance, ballet, and jazz.
Mm.
So we added some other extracurricular activities to her schedule. So that was pretty good. She had a really good time. She did so good. I was so proud of her when she went to her first little ballet class. They were doing stretches and stuff, and the teacher had them doing right split, left split, and center straddle. And I was looking at her on the video recorder, and as the ballet instructor was going by, like helping everybody and trying to correct their split so they can get flat and stuff, she didn't get corrected. So I was like, oh, so much progress that she's made. Her straddle split is nice.
So gymnastics is paying off.
Yeah. So
It's not being wasted. That's what I
goodbye.
hear.
So but she had a really good time, and she went to jazz, and she said she had a really good time. So we had an eventful week. It was good.
That's
It
good.
was good. How was your week?
I don't know if it's Friday, Tuesday, or Monday.
Oh my gosh. Seriously.
Yeah.
You know it's Friday.
At this point, they they're all fading together.
Okay. I don't know why you have to be so
I'm
dramatic.
just being real.
You are no, you're
I'm just being real.
dramatic.
I feel like I ain't clocked out in 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just telling,
Okay, I mean it's how you feel. That's fine. I'm just saying I think
okay.
it's a little much. You don't know
'Cause
what
I'ma
the
do
day of the
me.
week it is.
I'ma do me. I know it's Friday, but it feel like a Monday.
Yeah, well, that's living that parent life, that spouse life. Speaking of parent life, that's what we'll be talking about today.
It's badass kids.
We're not gonna be we're not gonna be talking about
Need their
badass
ass whooped.
kids.
Like they need to get beat like I got beat back in the day. I turned out A-okay.
You got beat?
Oh yeah, I
No,
got
I
beat.
wouldn't actually I would agree with you there.
No, I got beat.
No. I actually would agree with you there because
I
you
got the
still have,
scars.
yeah, I was gonna say he still has scars on his body as an adult male from whoopings that he got as an adolescent. So I mean that's pretty much borderline abuse. That is abuse. It left marks.
This is abuse. I've never been arrested. Never been in jail.
And I'm sure there's plenty of children who have not been abused and who have not been arrested.
Living what
I
they
don't-
call a successful life. So
Okay. Yeah, well, I don't think that it had anything
I
to
think
do
it
with you
I
being
think it was
scarred
I
physically.
think it was old traditional child rearing,
And there's nothing wrong with that.
it worked.
But the thing is also you also have scars. Like, you know, that's fine if you wanna whoop or whatever, but not to leave scars that last
Yeah,
until adulthood.
I
That's a little
probably deserved it.
much.
I was a bad kid.
You weren't a bad kid. Stop. You and your blue caps.
I was a bad kid.
When, Maurice? When you were 5?
Yeah, anything under age of 9. I stopped getting whoopings
What
around
what
12.
what qualified you as a bad kid?
I
Please tell me.
I used to get in some shit.
Like what? At 9? Tell me the shit you got into at 9.
A lot of shit.
Like what? I'm curious.
Going where I wasn't supposed to be.
But you came home on time.
Yeah, but I got caught. You know how it used to be. Don't go
I
past this
don't know.
spot.
I don't know how it
That's
used to
right.
be.
That's because you can get no reprimand.
Yes,
That's
I
your problem.
did.
No,
I got reprimanded too. Yes, I
no, you
did.
didn't. That's why I have a hard time dealing with you now. Let's get into it, man.
Anyway,
You look good, by the way.
thank you, sweetheart.
You know, purple's my favorite color.
I do. That's why I wore it just for you.
Yeah, okay, that's a lie, but I'm gonna let you roll with that.
Why you can't let me have my moment?
Yeah, okay, okay.
I
Why
did.
you over there trying to experience my childhood like you lived it? You know, you don't remember the switches and the Hot Wheel track
I do. I
and the
remember having
belts.
to pick my own switches. I remember one time I had got in trouble and we were at my granny's house, and my mom made me go outside, pick my own switch so that she could whoop me with it. And if I picked a small switch, she would make me get another switch. Now, what's funny is I just had this conversation with my mother not too long ago, and she swears up and down that she never whooped us,
Okay,
me and my sister. She
I believe her
swears,
too.
she swears it, and it's not true. She absolutely
I
did
believe it
whoop me.
because you and your sister be out of pocket.
No,
You don't have to.
she absolutely did whoop me. She used to catch me between her legs and she would whoop me, and she would say it like word for word, like, "Didn't I tell you I was going?" And I remember one time she was gonna whoop me, and I told her, I was like, "I'm gonna tell my dad." And that just like sent her over the edge. And she
Mm,
was like, "Who you think you telling on? You
mm.
can't tell on me. Tell your daddy." And as soon as my
Dang,
like
that sounds familiar.
what does it sound
It
like?
sound like you talking to your daughter.
No,
When she tell
absolutely. Why do you sit up here with so many blue caps? Like, I don't
what?
understand.
She
I
said
don't understand.
she's literally called me and told on you. What are you talking
What
about?
did she said?
She called and told and said, "Mommy's being mean to me." You know she don't
Well,
say much.
but anytime she doesn't like feel like she's getting her
So don't sit
way.
here and act like I'm capping when she has called me.
Okay, but it's not because I sat here and beat her.
Oh no, I didn't say you was beating her. She was just mad at you.
She can get upset because like she's not getting her way. I mean, that's typical. She's 6. Like,
But I mean, what I'm saying is, it's clear that you ain't never been beat by a branch of an avocado tree.
no, I have not been beat with a
Yeah,
branch off an avocado tree.
yeah
It was the
branches,
tree I had to grab
them
the branch
branches
from. It
is
wasn't an avocado tree.
strong.
Okay, yeah, that's I. But and I remember I had a friend. Her mother used to whoop them with the extension cords that
Man,
came from around the seal of the window. You know how it had that little blue. I mean, not that blue, that gray, like rubbery rope. Is that even considered an
you mean
extension cord?
like the window seal,
The
like
window, yeah,
the actual?
you remember the window seal? It was like a gray rubber, and you would put it.
Damn, I ain't been beat with that. Then that they got me beat.
Okay, because it hurt. So I remember her mom used to make them get in a bathtub of hot water,
Mhm.
and then she would make them get out of the bathtub, and she would whoop them with that window seal rubber piece. And I
Yeah,
remember thinking like, yeah, that's gonna hurt, and that
no, that hurt.
probably is abuse.
As someone who's been whooped fresh out the tub, that shit hurt.
Yeah, but you wasn't whooped with rubber, like rubber.
No, it was a leather belt, so it was worse.
Yeah, that was just a little much. So, in the era of disciplining children and rearing children, the thing that is talked about a lot is, gentle parenting and what gentle parenting is.
Sometimes you
And
can
I
be gentle.
and I feel like a lot of people have different and varying opinions about gentle parenting. I think, and I know for us, gentle parenting for us is really just about setting boundaries. You know what I mean? It's not about trying to um be so nice and give in to kids, and that's not what it is. It's about, for us, it's
Mhm.
about teaching her boundaries. It's about emotional intellect and getting her to a place that she can acknowledge her own feelings and also being able to express her feelings regardless of what they are, but also learning the boundaries when, being respectful, like to her parents, or being respectful when she's out in public and knowing how to speak to people and knowing how to voice her opinion, but respectfully. So I think, in today's terms of gentle parenting, I know like with our parents' generations, it's one of those things they look at and it's almost like we're judged for it, because we would hear a lot of back in my day, a child stayed in a child's place. Back in my day, children talked to children, you didn't talk to adults. Like,
They ain't lying.
right. Okay. Right. That's what I'm saying. That's like how it was. And it's almost like kids didn't have a voice at all. If you were a child, you are a child and that is it. Your emotions don't matter. Your feelings don't matter. I am the parent and it is what it is. Like you can't have it. You can't have an opinion about nothing. You can't say or disagree with anything. You can't speak up for yourself or anything like that.
I want
And I think,
for saying hi at the wrong time.
bye, babe.
I'm not lying.
Why did you get popped for saying hi at the wrong
I
time?
remember I remember like it's just like my Uncle Cliff, they were here and they were talking, and I just came home from school and I was like, hey Uncle Cliff, whatever. And he was like, boy, you
Oh, because you interrupted the
with
conversation.
their
Yeah, you
conversation.
interrupted adults.
Boom. But I didn't know what was going on. I had just walked in the door.
Yeah, see, like for me,
So
like I guess, you know me, I'm always trying to look at it through various lenses. I guess I can understand that, they would view that as disrespect because you interrupted adults conversating, but you didn't interrupt
I said
to
hi, yeah.
ask. Yeah, you said you were being respectful and ended up getting disciplined because they viewed it as disrespectful.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
That part.
So, and then it would have been something different had you walked in the house
And not
and
so
not said anything. Then you would have been in trouble for
because
being disrespectful
you know
because you should have acknowledged them, even though
you
you walked into their presence.
in the black household as a child, you gotta acknowledge.
Exactly.
Yes. You
Exactly. So, really, in that instance, you probably were like damned if you did and damned if you
I
didn't.
don't know what's
You
wrong
should have
with
waited for the
that
pause.
boy.
You should have waited for the pause. That's what it
What's
was.
wrong with that boy? He know he's better speak to us.
No, your mistake was you didn't wait for the pause. Now I see.
Okay.
That's what it was. You didn't wait for the
That's
pause.
all right here.
But anyway, yeah, so the whole gentle parenting thing for us is like I said about establishing those boundaries and really trying to get her to a point where she can self-express as well, you know what I mean? Um I think with kids nowadays, times are so different. Times are so different when educating kids, when raising kids, rearing kids, as opposed to it was, in the decades before us. I think like now as far as communication when it comes to children, we really try to create a space for kids to communicate and to open up and for kids to have a voice. I think that's one of the biggest things about this whole quote unquote gentle parenting thing. Getting them to a place where they can express their feelings and be honest with their feelings. Because this is what I kind of take from the differences between the generations before us and us when it comes to the gentle parenting thing. Like I said before, as a kid, uh, you know, I can't even believe I have to say back in our day, but back in our day when we were being raised, a child stayed in a child's place and you really didn't have a voice, right? But then as you get older and you become a teenager and you become a young adult, it's like now you're all of a sudden expected to have these type of skills. All of a sudden
Switch.
yeah, all of a sudden it's like why don't you talk? Speak up. Say something for yourself. Like all of a sudden you're supposed to now know how to be a full functioning young adult and then go out into the world and know how to present yourself to society and know how to find your place into society and stand up for yourself and have a voice for yourself and defend yourself, but that wasn't environment
Well,
that was cultivated at home.
when you've been raised to be docile.
Right. It wasn't an environment that was cultivated at home. And then the times where you probably were trying to be open and honest or communicate with your parent, it was either shut down or it was not taken as seriously. You know what I mean? I know sometimes there was times where I felt like I tried to be open and it was always met with, what you got to be stressed for? You don't pay no bills, and it's like people in the generations before us didn't understand that yes, my stresses may not look like yours because I'm not paying bills, I'm not running a household, I don't have to get up and go to work, but that doesn't mean that the environment that I'm in as a child or a preteen and a teenager couldn't be stressful for me.
That's because we had the stress of expectation.
Right. Like because above all, you just had to perform and do what you were told.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was you do what you were told to do. And as long as you did what you were told to do, you would be fine.
Mhm.
And then when you get out into the real world and it's like people are expecting you to know what to do, and it's like, okay, but give me some direction because I've been cultivated in an environment where I've constantly been told what to do and how to operate and what to focus on, that now I go out into the world and it's like the world is my oyster and I'm opened up to all of these different ideas and all these different things, but I'm not sure on the direction in which I need to go because I don't have anyone directing me.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So I think one of the biggest things that I like about the whole gentle parenting, and I really hate calling it gentle parenting. I just think that with the like our generation or millennials, it's just you kind of parent based off of how you were raised, right? Like you take your experience, well, I'm talking about as far as your experiences.
Oh,
You have taken some of your experiences that you've experienced in childhood and you think about how that made you feel, right?
right.
And then
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
you kind of want to implement something different when raising your own child.
I think my parenting style is a mix of me applying things that I felt that worked, and then also applying things that I feel like is better. Like I can appreciate the fact that I was um able to make decisions and live with like learn like the weight of consequences.
Hmm.
Like I never had a bad time growing up. It's
Right.
like if I wanted to be up to 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, it didn't matter.
Right.
As long as when that alarm clock got up,
You got
I
up.
got up. Like
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
that's one thing that it was like, okay, I never really had a bad time. I learned the lesson, and
I was gonna say, but you
right.
learned. Hmm.
And then I learned also it's like as long as I do what I have to do in school, like there's nothing I couldn't do.
And
Like
there's nobody watching you.
right.
Yeah. Hmm.
Right. So like as long as I brought home the grades and I maintained
And stayed out of trouble.
yeah, and maintained my innocence, didn't get in trouble, I was able I had
More
more
freedom.
more freedom, a longer leash.
Hmm.
And that stuff I think worked. Now what I don't think worked is um necessarily the I don't necessarily okay, I can't say it don't work. Like I feel like I didn't need all the whoopings. Like I understand why I got them. You know what I mean?
You
But
thought there could have been a better
right,
course of action.
right. But there could have been in hindsight there could have been a better course because a lot of times like a lot of times I got the whoopings without
Explanation.
right. Like
Hmm.
it's like you don't do this. Okay, but why?
But why?
Because
Uh-huh.
in the
Uh-huh.
moment, me as a kid, I'm thinking there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing.
Right.
Right now, obviously, there were times where I was deserving of it when I was, breaking windows, starting cars, and driving an 11. Like I was deserving.
Yeah.
I deserved that. I
Deserve
was
it.
right. I was doing something that I knew
That you shouldn't have been.
I
Yeah.
knew I shouldn't have been doing. So that's
Yeah.
different. But a lot of times I feel like when I didn't really understand what was going on, or because I didn't necessarily believe what was being said, or if I questioned what was being said, it's like I didn't really have a lot of times I didn't have the space to actually think something different.
Right.
I had to accept what was being told as fact,
Mhm.
even though to me I'm like, it don't seem
Like you want to question
right.
it a
It
little
don't
bit.
seem all the
Mhm.
way like that's how it should be.
Mhm.
So I can see how like what my parenting style, like when it comes to our daughter, like I try to let her be who she is. I try to let her shine. But I do have hard limits where it's like, no, this is what it is. I
And we
understand,
don't do it.
right? I
Mhm.
understand this some things are gonna come up and daddy's not gonna explain why. It's just you'll get why once you get older.
Right.
But right now I don't explain it to you because if this has to do with your personal health right now. Like it has to do with your safety right now. So
Mhm.
I'm not going to explain to you right now. I'm going to prioritize keeping you safe, and then we'll worry about your feelings on the back end.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah. So like I think when it comes to like how you said, it's all about like setting the boundaries, but creating an environment for kids to have have dialogue in the home, make mistakes, but having, like, I like to call them bumpers. Like I've said that before in other episodes, creating bumpers for her to kind of run into, because a lot of the time, and one thing that rings true that I completely agree with, that comes from generations before us, is everything starts at home.
Yes.
Right? Everything starts at home because that's the environment that you're being cultivated into. So everything starts at home. So when, she learns a new word at school and she comes home and she's like saying something, and I'm like, "Oh no, that's inappropriate, Phoenix. We don't say that." And then she goes, "But why?" Because it could hurt someone's feelings, and because you don't know the word in which you're using, you don't properly know how to use that word.
In
So
context.
yeah, in the context, but I just tell her, of course, because she's sick, so I have to simplify it for her because it could potentially hurt someone's feelings.
Mhm.
And we don't want to intentionally hurt someone's feelings or unintentionally hurt someone's feelings. So we're just not going to say it because it's not a word for you to say right now.
Right.
And then she'll be like, "Oh, okay." You know what I mean? Like, we haven't had, thank God, we haven't had any issues where we've got the school calling saying that she's done something inappropriate or she said something inappropriate. But for sure, she has come home at times and have said something that she learned from somebody else at school,
Mhm.
or has, like, learned what was it, that new hand thing she learned from her friend at gymnastics?
Beyblade.
Yeah, iced tea,
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola, Pepsi, turn around, touch the ground, kick your boyfriend out of
And
town.
I said, "Hold up,
I
girl.
said, I was like, mm-mm.
What boyfriend we got here?"
Whoops.
But why do we know it though?
Right.
That's the problem.
Because
That's the problem.
she,
Right.
but for two, I was like, when she had said it, and she was trying to teach it to me, I was like, "Phoenix, we're not gonna do
Right.
this. We're not gonna do this." But yeah, so like I said, it's really cultivating that environment and making sure that she has a space, that is between, him and I, and in our home, where if she is angry, I want to know and I want to hear you say, like, "I am angry," so we can have that dialogue. I've had this discussion too with my mom, and she's like, "Well, why you got to explain everything to her?" I don't have to explain everything to her. I don't. And just like you said, there are times where it's not going to be an explanation. The answer is just simply no. But I know for me, um, when I was a kid, like, it would have been nice to have some type of explanation. Like you said, when I was
Because
getting in trouble,
because
can you really break it down for me?
here's the thing. The thing is, sometimes you explain the situation to them so that they can think about it, and
Right.
you're building their critical thinking.
Right.
So I understand sometimes that as a parent, you'd be like, "I'm not gonna explain myself." Well, sometimes
You
you
should.
should explain yourself
Hmm.
because so that way they can follow a train of thought and have better comprehension.
And
Now,
develop the habit.
I will say this: we both do sometimes get in the mode of we believe in life lessons, and
Oh,
we're gonna let
absolutely.
her walk off this cliff,
Oh, yeah.
and when it hit her in the
Oh,
face,
we've done that.
but see, the only difference is when she gets hit in the face by life, you come in and you nurture and you mommy her.
Well, because I also want
Right.
her to let her know, like, but these are things that happen when you don't follow directions. Prime example, this was last year. She was at gymnastics practice, right? And they were learning how to jump off of the vault. So they would jump off the vault and they would jump into a foam pit. And her coach was getting everybody's attention, and she was like, "It's really important that you guys turn your big ears on and that you listen, right?" And she told all of the girls, she said, "When you are jumping off of, a high platform like the vault, wherever your eyes go, so will you, right? So if you focus on jumping into the pit, you will go into the pit. If you focus on the floor, you will jump to the flat floor and you will hit your face, right?" She reminded them all as soon as they got up to the form to jump off to go into the pit. Our child, she
Mhm.
That day, I guess she didn't think fat meat was greasy because she sure did look at the floor, and she jumped off that vault straight onto a floor and smashed her whole front face. And the coach went over to her and she asked her if she was okay. Like, that's why I loved her coach from last year. She was like, "Are you okay?" And she was like, "Yes." And she said, "Where were you looking when you jumped?" And Phoenix said, "The floor." And she said, "What did I say? Where did I say you should be looking when you jumped?" And Phoenix looked right at her and said, "The pit." And she said,
Mhm.
"Okay, this is what happens when you don't follow
Right.
directions." Right. So in that case, I didn't like baby her. I wanted to make sure my child was okay and
But
safe,
what
and she
I'm saying
was.
is
But
what I'm saying is most of the time you're a baby or a nurturer, and I look at her like, "What did we learn?
yeah, of course.
What
I
did we
mean,
learn?
but it's all
You're
I
fine.
still
What did
it's
we learn?"
still always like her well-being will always be my concern. It does that's like a
But
given,
she'd be
right?
perfectly fine
But
sometimes.
no,
You put extras on her.
no, I don't put extras on it. Stop it. But I will make sure
Who
my
capping
baby
now?
but I will make sure
Who
my
capping
baby
now?
is okay.
Okay.
But
She thought
anywho,
she'd be playing your ass.
bye. But anywho, but like I said, like going back to like expressing emotion, how many times have we asked her, like, what are you feeling? What's going on? And
Mhm,
she says, "I'm frustrated."
mhm.
Right?
At least she knows the words to say.
Right, right. And she'll say, "I'm
Right.
frustrated." And so we'll be like, "Okay, well, calm down. Let's take a
But
breath."
that's another dynamic of it. This is
Right.
this is why you explain and you talk it out because now
She can work
what
through
we're
it.
doing is we're teaching her to work through her emotions so
Mhm.
that now she's not a preteen or a teenager or an adult and she don't know how to process nothing that she's going
Right.
through.
Let's hope.
Now she can identify, okay, I'm frustrated, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm whatever the case may be. Okay,
Mhm.
now why are you sad?
Mhm.
Now or why are you angry?
Right.
Okay, now let's talk about this. Now we know why, now we know what you are. Now
Mhm.
let's talk about why
Mhm.
how you got there. And then
Mhm.
let's talk about whether or not you should be there or what we learned from the situation.
Right.
So we're talking to her, explaining things out so that she can then once she gets older, now she can have the tools
Right.
to process her emotions.
Right.
Now, like you said, it don't mean she gonna use them,
Right. Right.
but we're giving her the tools.
We're creating the environment
Right.
for her, right? And then it also teaches her to be empathetic to other people. So
Right.
like when she sees like
She's too
me
empathetic.
upset, she's very empathetic.
She's too empathetic.
When she sees like me upset or you upset, like the first thing she wants to come do is like rub your head or tell you it's going to be okay. Like with me, she always says, "Mom, just breathe. Just breathe, mommy." Or like this morning when I was like, "Oh man, my stomach is hurting." And she was like, "You have a tummy ache?" And I said, "Yes." And she was like, "When I have a tummy ache, sometimes I just need to eat. Maybe you need to eat." And I was like, "You know what? Maybe I need to eat, Phoenix." And she was like, "I hope you feel better." And I was like, "I hope I feel better too." But it's about trying to give her those tools and showcase that to her so that she can pick that up as part of her norm.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it doesn't look it's not perfect every time, right? And when
Mhm.
she is frustrated, when she is angry, when you can't like cut that emotion out at the moment, I let her have her moment. Like, "Okay, you're angry? That's fine. Have your angry moment for about 5 minutes. I'm going to give you 5 minutes
Mhm.
and do what you got to do. And then after that 5 minutes, I'm going to need you to help self-regulate, calm down so that we can talk about it." Right?
Right.
Or so that's why we always like we'll put her like in the corner. I'll have her just sit down in the corner. And I'll say, "You just sit here, have your moment, cry, be angry, do what you have to do, but in 5 minutes, when the timer goes off, you're gonna need to calm down so that we can talk about what happened." You know what I mean? So I think that comes with the like understanding the empathy, the recognizing and validating her feelings and her emotions. It also helps to cultivate an environment for us to further discuss boundaries and mutual respect, because even though you're upset and you're angry, that still doesn't give you the right to yell and scream,
Right.
right? Because that's what she'll have her moments where she like raises her voice. And I'm like, just because you're angry doesn't mean you about to sit here and disrespect me either. Right?
Now that's where we're reversed because you'd be like, "Oh no, you're not gonna yell at me," and I'd be like, "She mad, I let her go." But
No.
but
Mm-mm.
you'd be like, "You're not gonna yell at him like that."
No. No.
So
That
that's one part that's is one area where she got me because
Yeah,
I'd be
like
like,
if she gets upset or something, I'll tell her like, "You do not speak to your father that way. That is not how you speak to your father, and you need to apologize to him. When you've calmed down a little bit, You need to apologize to him. And then once you apologize to him, then we're gonna talk about why you had to apologize.
Mm.
Right?
I do like getting mad.
Just like the same, if I've yelled at her or if I've allowed my anger to get the best of me with an interaction with her, I have no problem apologizing to my child.
But you
I
don't
have
apologize to me.
I have you know what? You know what? Cut it out. I have apologized. Like, for instance, what was it? The other night when you called and I was like irritated and I was like
Mm.
heated
You're on 10.
and I was done. Like, Phoenix Rain had
It was
pushed
your
me.
voice.
He called and he was all cheery, and then that didn't make it better because when I'm already annoyed and upset,
I
like,
hate being
he'll
annoyed.
call and he'll like try to be cheery and I'll be like, "Nah, it's not the time." Like, it's not the time. My annoyance is on 10. Like, I'm frustrated, I'm tired, I still have dinner to cook, I still have a house to clean. She is tripping out over homework. We had a game plan, she ain't sticking to it. She acting like she don't know what the hell to do. I'm either she finna lose a head or I'm finna lose a head. Like,
Right.
we were going through it. And so he spoke to her on the phone. I had a conversation with her. We ended up getting through the evening, had dinner and everything. And when I went to tuck her in, um, before reading time, so we do prayers and then we read. And so before we went to reading time, I called her on over before she got in the bed and I gave her a hug and I gave her a kiss. And I said, we both had a really rough day today. And she goes, "Yeah, I know, mom." And I said, "I apologize, for raising my voice at you." Excuse me. I said, "I apologize for raising my voice at you." And she said, "I'm sorry too, mom." And I said, "What are you sorry for?" "I'm sorry for making you sad." And I was like, "Mm-mm." I said, "You don't have to be sorry for making me sad." I said, "You didn't make me sad." I was telling her, I said, "You didn't make me sad. It's just because we had a game plan. You didn't stick to the game plan. You knew what you had to do after your nap, and you didn't want to do what you agreed to after your nap." And I was like, "Don't apologize for hurting my feelings because you didn't hurt my feelings." And she was like, "I'm sorry, mom. I just didn't want to do my homework." And there it was. You know what I mean? Like, once we really got through it and to it, and while we were talking, and I was explaining to her, like, it's not about you hurting my feelings. This is what happened,
Right.
right? This is what happened. We had a game plan. You were supposed to come home, you got a snack, you got to read one book, you got to lay down, and then when you got up, you were supposed to do your homework, take your shower. Like, you know what I mean? That's the same thing we do every single week.
Mhm.
But every once in a while, she gets into these moods, and so we hashed it out, and
Mm.
I apologized to her, and she apologized to me. We hugged, we kissed. I read her bedtime story. She went to bed. Everything was great, and I had told her before she went to bed. I said, "We're gonna have a better day tomorrow," and she was like, "Yes, mom, we're gonna have a better day tomorrow."
Did you?
We did. We
Oh,
had a much better day,
that's good.
and this is just making me think about it. On the way to dropping her off at practice tonight, I had saw a TikTok, and it was talking about asking your child what's something they like doing with you, right? It's almost like a reflection thing. And if your child doesn't have anything to say, then, how are you spending quality time or cultivating that type of
Mm.
environment
You
for
should
your
ask me
child?
that question too.
And so on the way to practice, it came to me. And so I was just like, I said, "Phoenix." She said, "Yes." I said, what's your favorite thing to do with me?" And she said her favorite thing to do with me is to talk to me.
Oh, let me cry.
She was like, "I like to talk to you and I like to cuddle with you." I said, "Do you?" And she was like, "Yeah." I said, "Those are your favorite things to do with me?" She said, "Yeah."
I already know what her answer would be for me.
What?
I like to play with you, Daddy. I said, no, you like for me to chase you and play hide and seek, and you
Probably.
like to beat me up. That's what you like.
Yeah, so, that for me, that was that I mean, yeah, of course that was a tearjerker for me, but I love the fact that the first thing she said that she likes to do with me is talk. Right?
Right.
So that kind of was like a little reflection moment for me, and that made me feel good. But I also think that has to do with the type of environment that we're trying to cultivate for her.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, when I look at the environment we have for her, it's like I don't see anything like it as far as my childhood. Like
Right.
I see some similarities here and there in instance, but overall, like no, like I had a very like I don't
It
like
was just different.
she has like define we do have defined rules. Like she knows like she can't do this, she can't do that. But she also has the space to where she gets to just be herself and express herself.
Right.
And she's not, she don't get popped in the mouth
Right.
or
Or I don't get on her about
right,
jumping on the couch.
right. I
Not
do.
all the
I
time.
do.
Like I said, not all the
I
time.
do. I
I
don't play
I
that.
don't, because here's the
Hold on. I
thing.
don't know. I don't play that. Don't jump on my couch.
She's literally jumped on the couch in front of you.
No,
So,
no.
yes, yes, she
No,
has.
I don't. Don't do this. Stop.
I don't when we're
But
here
what I'm saying,
when we're here, like, unless I'm just getting annoyed or I feel like she's gonna
so you
fall
should
off
let
the
her jump
couch,
on my couch.
if she's gonna fall off the couch, like, I've let her jump on the couch.
I
Like,
let her jump on the bed, but not the couch.
see, and that's where I'm like, don't jump on the bed.
So then
But I don't like her
you
jumping on
jump
the
on the
bed.
bed. But
I
anyway,
swear,
anyway,
this guy.
anyway, like I was saying, like we let her express herself
Right.
and express what she's feeling, and we let her express her opinion without the threat of pushback
Judgment.
or judgment or punishment from us.
Yeah.
So we actually take what she says into account.
Yeah. And when she's in the moments, like when she's in the moments where she's adamant about something that she wants or
Mhm.
something she wants to do. I mean, if you have kids, you know how kids can be. Like, if you tell them just no and it's something they really, really want, they can act a fool,
Right.
like a plumb fool. And
Like
something
she did
that
on Wednesday
Wednesday on
with that homework.
Wednesday. Yeah, like yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I had to talk her down the edge, off
Hmm.
the edge. Yeah.
But one thing that does work sometimes is giving her options, right?
Mhm.
Giving her options. So a prime example again, Wednesday. She had options or choices. So I was getting frustrated and I said, you can do one of two things. You can sit here and finish your 2 pages and be done, take your shower, eat your dinner, and still have 30 minutes left before we get to bedtime that you can do whatever you want, play or
Whatever you want.
whatever. Or you can not do your homework. We could put your homework away and you just won't complete your assignment, and when your teacher like messages me and asks me why you didn't finish your assignment, I will let her know that Phoenix didn't want to finish her assignment. And I was like, and then you don't get to decorate your pumpkin. So, do you want to finish your homework and have 30 minutes to yourself to play? Or do you not want to finish your homework and not be able to decorate your pumpkin and finish your assignment?
Right.
Like it's really that simple, because the thing about it is too, if she would have chosen not to do her homework, I wouldn't have pressed the issue.
Nope.
Like, I've done that before.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to press the issue. You just will not do the assignment,
Right.
because you're going to have to understand that when you don't, meet your obligation or stick to whatever your commitment is, there is going to be a consequence. There is going to be repercussions. And the only way that you're really going to understand that is if you get to experience the repercussion or the consequence.
Right.
Because there's some things that I can't just tell her about. When she experiences it, then she understands, then there's like that click of the brain.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like I can message the teacher and just simply let her know her work will not be completed this week because A, B, and C happened, and then she's going to be fully aware that she's getting a
Right.
consequence, because
But I
every action has a reaction.
Right. But I also had a conversation with her. I said, Phoenix, you understand, we've had this conversation before. School comes before
Anything.
everything. You're not gonna go to dance, you're not
I'm not
gonna
going to go to
gymnastics. If you
gymnastics.
don't want to go to do your homework, that's fine. You just won't go to gymnastics on the next day.
Yeah, you
It's
did,
fine.
like she
That's
had
fine.
she gets that, like if she has to experience a consequence, it's almost like there's a click. Okay, like, okay, now I do get it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I do get it. Just like getting up on time in the morning. We get up at 6 a.m. Monday through
I
Friday.
mean, oh,
It is the same thing every single day. But she also wants to play the little games of taking her time getting dressed and moseying around when it comes to brushing her
I
teeth.
can't find my
And
toothpaste.
here's the thing, some people will just be like, okay, well, she's little. You have to do, she's 6. She's 6, and she is more than capable of doing those things on her own,
More than
because
capable.
I'm not going to constantly enable her to where I'm constantly having to do all of those, like, especially smaller things for her, right?
Right.
You know how I was when she first started, like, doing things on her own.
It
Like,
was
even
oh, you was
it
in
was
your feelings.
it was oh my gosh.
You was
It
in
is
your
tough,
you was in
okay?
your feelings.
And people who have kids know, because the
My
more
baby
independent,
don't need
my
me no
babies don't
more.
need me anymore. But it's not about my feelings. It's about making sure that my child, when she grows up, she can feel confident to know that there are things she can do on her own,
On her
because I can't be there and I'm not going to be there all the time.
right.
Do you know what I mean? So, yes, some people be like, "Oh, well, she's only 6." But that's when it starts. Like, we can't start just implementing these things at 10 and 11. Their brains are
And
already
that
pretty much on its
and
way
and
to
that's the fact right there, babe, like you said, and I think that's what we actively do. We try to
we
instill in
try.
her the things that she needs now
Right.
that's gonna benefit her
Right.
more when she gets
Because
older.
if I allow her to be lazy now,
Oh, Lord.
if I allow her to be lazy now, then it's going to be one of those things like, okay, then that's what we're going to be pretty much cultivating here on out. And it's not, like I said, it's not perfect.
She
And
don't
I'm pretty sure, like, I'm sure, I always say this, when she gets older, I'm sure there's probably going to be something that she complains
oh,
about her upbringing.
oh,
Like,
definitely. All I know is that we got less than 6 months and she's getting chores.
you know what I mean?
She finna start vacuuming around here.
She's
That's all right.
vacuuming.
She
I
about to
don't
be
even
7.
think she's as tall as the vacuum
It don't
cleaner.
matter, she make it work, she's about to be 7.
I can't. But yeah, like, even just simple things like getting herself together. Your clothes are laid out. I do that for her. Every once in a while she'll pick out her own clothes. What was it, on Monday? And he was
Baby
like,
is so
he
bad.
said, "What are you wearing?" And she was like, "It's cute." And I was like, "I'm not, we're not doing it
I
today."
said, "Girl,
He
you sure
wanted
is cute."
she wanted to pick out her clothes,
She looked
and
a
that's
mess.
another step in her being confident in her decision
Right.
making. That's what I want. I want to cultivate an environment for her to be confident in her decision making, whether, I agree with it or not, and whether it's right or whether it's wrong. It's about her using that part of her brain so that she can, be decisive about something
Yeah.
and not have to second guess herself all the time. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
So, I mean, how would you sum it up?
Um, I would say flexibility. Um, I don't want to say compromise, but establishing clear
Oh, no,
boundaries.
it's a compromise.
Well,
Because
okay,
at some
compromise.
because at some point you compromise for your sanity.
Well, there's that too.
So
There's that
that's
too.
definitely compromise.
That too. But also just flexibility, also in the discipline, because I don't think we touch too much on, like, the discipline aspect of it. Um,
Well, I think the discipline you're right. The discipline part of it has to be fair, right? The punishment has to fit the crime. And so everything doesn't need to be severe. And you also have to know, like, with each child is different
mhm.
because, like, we know with her, like, before, like, oh, we're gonna take your iPad away. That would crush her. Now, like, she don't really be on the iPad like that. So it's like,
Nope.
okay,
And she
whatever.
hasn't been on the screen all week.
Right. So she'll be like,
She
okay,
lost her screen
I
privileges this week.
don't have an iPad. As long as I got my dolls, I'm cool. Or as long as
Mhm,
I got my my
mhm.
marker, my pencils, my crayons, I'm cool. So now I'm like, okay, well, guess what? No Barbies this week. Or no markers this week, and
Yeah,
it breaks her. Or you go, okay, well, you can't play outside when you come home. You got to be in the house. Or like, so
yeah,
it's like you have to understand that each child has like different interests. So what we try to do, like especially for us, gymnastics is a big one. Like, cause she
yeah. She
loves
loves
gymnastics.
gymnastics.
So it's like Phoenix
Sitting in the corner and losing, gymnastics
is like
privileges.
those 2 things. She's like, okay, well, I need to get my act together because
Mhm.
come time for practice, I want to be at practice.
Yeah.
So it's like if we and we don't just say that to buff. There's been times where she didn't go
No,
to
she don't
practice.
she won't go.
She didn't
She
go.
and I was gonna say that's another thing, empty threats.
Yeah, we don't know.
There's I have
This clip is loaded.
me personally, I have had to really make sure that when I say something, I follow through with it, because kids are not dumb people, okay? If you keep throwing out empty threats, how are they to take you seriously?
Hmm.
They're not going to take you seriously. It's going to be like, okay, yeah, she going to say I'm a miss gymnastics, but guess what? Friday I'm going to gymnastics. She
But
gonna forget all
right.
about what we talked. No,
Nope.
it's like
But she
we're
knows
not. I will mark it off on the calendar so she can see it. I will put a nice little line straight through so there's a visual
yeah.
representation that you have officially lost your
That's
privilege
like
to do this.
that remind me a couple like a month ago when she had did something and I said, Phoenix, if you do this again, you will be in your room the rest of the day.
Oh
You
yeah,
cannot
what
leave.
was that?
And
What did she do? I forgot.
she thought it was all fun and games. And I said, go to your room.
Oh, I remember what it was. We were laying in the bed and she kept kicking you in the side,
Oh,
and on the side that you were sore, and you
all
had
right.
told her 3 times.
Motorcycle accident,
You
yes.
told her 3 times, and then I had told her, and I
Yeah.
was like, "Okay, like, that was way too many times anyway," and then
So
she had to get you sent her to her room
so
for the rest of the
so
day.
she go to her room, she's of course she's bawling, crying, she's yelling, and it's you know, and anytime I discipline her in any kind of way, it's daddy, my
Oh,
daddy don't love me,
it's 10 times worse.
daddy hates
It's
me.
oh gosh.
It's whatever. So
That's all you hear from the that's all you
so
hear from the room.
she's pulling at the heartstrings, and you know, but I'm like, whatever it is. So a couple hours go by, and you know, my wife goes in there and she talks to her and she calms down, and Phoenix comes to me and she apologizes, and now she has a thing where like, okay, I accept your apology, but like I said, go back to your room.
Same rule applies,
You
yeah.
still have to go to your room.
Mhm.
Like just you don't get to apologize, and
And think that the
it
consequence no longer
yeah.
exists.
So go to your room, and so
Mhm.
that day, I think she was maybe in her room for like 12 hours because she by the time she went to bed and woke up, it was maybe like 12 hours. But she struggled.
Yeah.
She did. It was like if you would have looked at her, she was doing a hard time,
Yeah.
like
Like, literally, like, she felt like she was in
hard.
prison. But
Because it even got to the point one time she asked me, she said, "Dad, can I go to the bathroom?" I said, "Phoenix, you don't have to.
you
You
don't have to
don't have
ask
to
to
go to
go
the
to the
bathroom.
bathroom.
Go to the
You
bathroom."
just need to stay in your
Go
room.
to the bathroom and go right back to your room. And it wasn't like she was in her room just by herself. Like
No, she had
she
everything
had
in her room.
everything she so it wasn't like the punishment was harsh.
All her stuff
She
was in her room.
had all her
She
toys.
was well
She
entertained.
had her all her toys. She had her iPad. She had her TV.
She just
She
couldn't
had
come
all
out
her
of it.
she had all her books. You know what I'm saying? She just couldn't leave it, and that's what like that part of
The
it. But
restriction part of it is what
right,
got her because she loves to like if we're in the room watching TV, she wants to be in the mix too. So when we were together, she's just like, I just want to be with my like she always says, I just want my parents. That's what she says. I want my
I just
parents.
want your mama.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right, yeah. So emotional regulation and self-care, embracing flexibility when it comes to discipline. Like I said, we don't whoop her. We normally just like sit her in the corner
That don't mean
or
I haven't
they're right.
popped her.
We've popped her, but for me personally, for speaking personally, I don't feel good popping her or I didn't feel good the times that I have popped her. And then also it didn't really have an effect and that's why I didn't pop her.
So
Like she never got like a whooping where I got like a
no,
belt and like whooped or anything like
no.
that. It was like open hand on the butt. But the times that I have done that, for me, it didn't make me feel good.
But it's all
And then for two, it didn't really it had an effect on her, but the effect was so much more like
right,
emotional devastation,
right.
right? Because it wasn't something that was usual.
Normal.
It wasn't something that was normal. So when she did get popped on the butt, it was like, "Oh my gosh, like you just beat me
Right.
and I have a bloody nose." You know,
But
she
I
was
remember I do remember one time I popped her and she couldn't yeah, I guess I didn't hit her hard enough. I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing, whatever. But like she thought I was playing, so then she started hitting me back. I'm like, no, you're in trouble. No, you're in trouble. Like you did something that warranted my reaction. But it's like, you know, it's just so like she's so used to like, she's not used to being hit. Like,
right.
so and that's another thing that, like, our parents are kinda like, "We why don't you" like, "No, we don't do
Yeah.
this."
We've
Like,
had that
we
discussion. She needs a whooping.
no,
No, she doesn't.
we only do it when it absolutely calls for it, and I will say that our child, as high energy as she is a good child. Like, she don't
And she knows when to calm it down.
always be off the
Yeah,
rails.
she knows when to like, okay, we need to take a break fee. We need to relax. We need, you know what I mean? Like I said, we don't get any real like complaints or anything like that when it comes to her and her behavior. Thank God. But when she, if she's having a moment or something like that, we do our best to implement like that self-reflection.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that she can also have some type of context.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there is a new section of the pod that we want to implement, and it's called Our 2 cents. In the Our 2 cents segment, we will be doing and giving our reaction to videos and other scenarios that also pertain slightly to the topic at hand. So today we were discussing parenting and boundaries and relationships. So we have a couple of reactions that we want to get into. So it's reaction time, guys, on
Yeah.
our 2 cents. All right. So this
Go
one
for it.
says, it's an my 8-year old daughter is self-conscious about her body. We were just at the pediatrician who said that her BMI is within normal range and she is perfectly healthy overall. Her body shape is a bit well built like her mom's, but she's gorgeous, strong, and healthy. Both my wife and I have witnessed moments in which, with the characteristic bluntness of small kids, she has been asked, in quote, "What did you have for lunch that made your tummy so fat?" And things like that. The case is that she is insisting now on wearing baggy clothes, self conscious about bathing suits, and so on and so forth. We keep telling her that she's gorgeous and perfect and beautiful, which is true, but at this age, it is her peers whose judgment counts. Any experiences, advice, or ideas? This is all very triggering to my wife because she too has also struggled with the very same issues as our child. Thanks in advance. What are
First
your
off,
thoughts?
I'd like to say her mama must be thick.
Okay. Babe, I can't. I can't.
That's his words. That's he said my wife is,
He just like his wife was thick. He said that she was built like her mother.
oh, and she thick.
Okay.
Mama thick.
Okay.
Ain't
So,
no
what are
ain't,
your thoughts?
ain't nothing wrong with a thick
What are
one.
your thoughts?
Um, it's definitely a self-esteem issue, and when it comes to self-esteem, it's kind of hard to give advice because that's something that has to resonate and trigger inside that person. You can give her words of affirmation all day long. If she's not in a space to receive them, I don't think much will happen. And the harsh reality is that kids are brutally honest.
Kids are very because
And
I mean, for the most part, they only know how to be
right.
honest.
So they're gonna say what they're thinking and what they see. So I honestly feel like if your child could, had a caring friend that kind of backed her up, I think that's kind of the only way she could get over that. But I do feel like when it comes to issues of self-esteem, there's only, that change has to happen within that particular person. Now,
Yeah, something that comes with time and as they get
I mean, now
older.
you could, like, I mean, I guess you could take steps to, be active with her, or like play games or have it to where she's moving, and that kind of thing. If that, but like you said, if she's in range for her age, it might just be something where she just hasn't,
Like
you
her
know,
body type.
she hasn't hit a puberty yet and leaned out, or whatever the case may be. But
Yeah.
it's like, I don't think there's nothing you can really do as a parent, and I from that aspect, I can understand it's hard because as parents, we want to protect our kids all the time, but I don't think this is necessarily an area where you'll be able to give her much help.
Yeah. I mean, I would say for me, the first things that kind of come off the top of my dome, like if this was my child, if this was Phoenix at 8 years old and she's experiencing this, um,
I'm
I
happy
wanted
you
to
said it.
I would, do exactly first of all, what he's done is just try to reaffirm in her that you are beautiful. Everybody looks different for a reason, and there's beauty in every single person here on this earth. Maybe some positive imagery of, maybe other kids or things like that that can boost her self-esteem so that she doesn't feel like she's such an outcast, or doing activities with her that can help her realize that she also not only is beautiful, but she's also strong, and you can do this and you can do that. but just trying to attack it from a different angle, trying to attack it from a different avenue. And then maybe, like, I don't know if that's still a thing, big brothers, big sisters. I don't know if
Possible. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can find it.
yeah, like I'm not sure if it is, but if it is, maybe her getting her connected with like a big sister, right?
Mhm.
If she's also having issues with having friends at school, because he didn't really mention it, but from the comments of the other students who are making comments about her, like you said, she may not have a friend. So maybe getting her connected with like a big sister that can also help boost her confidence, getting her into things that are confidence
Mhm.
boosting, like a sport or an
Mhm.
extracurricular
Alright.
activity. Not only does that continuously help with her health, gets her moving, you know what I'm saying? But it can also help boost her confidence. It can put her in a different environment with other children that are not the kids that she goes to
Mhm.
school with. And that can help be a confidence booster for her. But it's about kind of just helping to guide her through this, because you can't be there on the campus when kids are making
Right.
comments like this, right?
And I was just thinking, like, you could also, like, uh, guide her and help her to do the things that make her feel pretty. I just thought about this because, I remember when, a couple of days ago, or was it last weekend when, Phoenix asked you to paint her nails?
Oh,
And
yeah.
when you painted her nails, even though, like, it was just for inside the house, like,
Yeah.
you couldn't tell her she was
Oh,
the
gosh.
hottest thing on the street.
Oh, gosh. Or this morning when I combed her hair.
Oh, yeah.
This morning, yeah,
She had her pineapple and
yeah, she had her little pineapple fro today, because she's been in a ponytail all week, and I'm like, oh, I can't keep like pulling her edges back like this. So I was like, I'm gonna just give her a little pineapple ponytail today. And
that
I
comes through
sprayed
the roof.
I sprayed her hair and like picked it out in a little mini fro and gave her, edge down her edges and
Laid.
everything. And I mean, when she saw herself in the mirror,
Hands on her hip.
hands on her hip. She was like, "Mom, I've never had this hair before." I was like, "Girl,
Cap.
all your pictures from 0 to 3 is what your
Eh,
is
because
what your
because the because that's the only hairstyle daddy can do.
you really did."
That's the only hairstyle daddy know how to do.
But she felt so confident and
Yeah,
she felt so good.
yeah,
And it made me feel proud too, because it was her hair. You
right.
know what I mean? She has had this little streak where she's only wanted long hair. We were going through that really tough, and that was one of the first things when she
Mhm.
started kindergarten. Her first week of kindergarten, she came home and she was like, "Mom, can you do my hair like this?" With like she was trying to mimic like straightening her hair, because all the little girls in her classroom had straight hair and her hair wasn't straight, And I remember having that conversation with her and telling her that, yeah, we can try your hair straight if you like to try it too, but you don't forget, your hair is perfect the way that it
Mhm.
is. The way your hair is, it's so beautiful, and you can wear your hair straight, you can wear your hair curly, you can wear your hair in braids, like constantly trying to tell her, like, there is nothing wrong with the way your hair is too. But if you want to get, play around with it and straighten it out, let's do it, girl.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Kind of just trying to reinforce that. So that's why I was saying, like, getting her also like in a different environment, or getting her with a big sister or something, or getting her in a sport or extracurricular, into something that can give her like a confidence booster. I think that might help too, and help her to see herself in a different light. The next one we have, it is feeling mom guilt over my 3-year-old attending pre-K due to speech delay. So I'm a stay-at-home mom to a sweet 3-year-old boy and a 9-month-old boy as well. This morning I took my older son down to the school district to have him evaluated for our state's free ESE pre-K program. And I just can't shake the feeling of guilt. Like I could have and should have done more for him. I felt so bad when the evaluator asked him to point to a ball on the page, a choice between a ball and a spoon. And I knew the exercise would be in vain because my son, he couldn't do it. At that moment, I would say he has had 10 words at most. But knowing he should be able to label body parts and colors and identify objects and have over 250 words has left me spiraling. Has anyone been in a similar situation? Has your child improved with pre-K? For what it's worth, my son has made a lot of improvements over the past year when it comes to pronunciation and different consonant sounds, and his attention span has also dramatically improved as well. And he started private speech therapy a couple of months ago. Um, I will say for me personally, first of all, mom guilt is the worst. I'm sure there's dad. Is there dad guilt? I'm sure there's dad guilt.
It's worse than mom
Um,
guilt.
okay, they're both probably terrible. The amount of pressure and what is the word that I'm looking for? Just the amount of pressure that you put on yourself as a parent to try to be all things for your child is it is daunting and it is stressful. I remember when Phoenix was at the preschool age, I homeschooled her for preschool. And I remember you and I we would have conversations about our concern with her comprehension and her speech because I would and you really shouldn't do this. Like I always say, you do not compare your kids, but it's also one of those things that you can't really help when you see your children amongst other kids who are their age and you notice that some kids are more advanced than others. And I would see other, 3-year-olds, and I'm like, well, that 3-year-old sounds pretty clear. And I don't understand why my 3-year-old doesn't sound as clear. And my brother in law, who's a speech pathologist and works with children, I would always ask him, like, okay, what should she be saying? Or what things should she be doing at this age? Should she know how to complete a sentence? Should she know how to do, you know what I mean? And he would give us good indicators and good pointers as to how we should also be interacting with her to also help with her speech, and then with her comprehension and everything. But one thing that I have learned in these past, what she's been in school 2 years now, one thing that I have learned is that a lot of it does come with time. And also, like when kids are really small at like 2 and 3, sometimes it can be really difficult to see what is a genuine concern and what is something that they could potentially grow out of,
Mhm.
right? So I know, like, as she's gotten older, her comprehension her comprehension's,
Oh, she know exactly what she's doing.
right. Right.
She know ex
Right.
she know exactly what she doing.
No, at age 3, I was like, I would come to you all the time and I'm like, I don't know if everything is like
No,
okay with her.
and I
Like,
was like, "It's fishy."
yeah, it's like I don't know, where should we go? Should we talk to her pediatrician about this? Because I'm a little concerned because whatever it is, I want to catch it soon and I want to like get on it right
Well,
away.
I will say this, um, to the mother. I said, "I wouldn't feel too bad." At first, I was like, "Yeah, you should feel bad." But then I realized hold on. But then I realized, oh, you were pregnant and you had a newborn during the time you would have been teaching him all the stuff. So I gave you some grace. I was like, "Okay, yeah, you should," especially because she's staying at home. I was like, "Yeah, you should have been." But now I understand, like, so but don't feel too bad because what I also know, and I'm pretty sure other parents will say this, is that the more your child interacts with other children their age, the more they're gonna pick up, the more they're gonna learn.
Right.
So give him time. By the end of the year, he'll talk better, he'll comprehend better, he'll know these things. And I don't think he'll kids learn. They're like sponges.
They are, but
They're like
also kids,
sponges.
not every child will be on the same level.
Right.
Like that's the thing, is that you have to be able to look at your child and, like I said, differentiate between the difference of something being a genuine concern or something that that he's going to get over time.
Right.
Like once he gets in school, there are certain things he's going to get. I know when Phoenix was at home when I was homeschooling her, and we would try to work on holding the pencil, like getting her acclimated to holding the
She
pencil.
was not strong.
She wasn't strong, she didn't have the pressure, and then for me, that would make me feel some type of way because I'm like, "Okay, I can't teach you how to hold a pencil? Like, what is the deal?" Because I had the thing in my head was, since I'm taking on the responsibility of teaching her at home, when we decided to put her in school, like when we knew we were gonna put her in school for kindergarten,
Mhm.
I didn't want her to like be behind.
Right.
Even though essentially some of the things that she was doing in kindergarten was the same things we were doing at home for preschool,
Still
but
identical.
I didn't want to feel like I failed her by not making sure that she wasn't prepared for kindergarten,
Right,
right?
right.
Because I also knew that her going into kindergarten, she was also really young going into kindergarten. She was the youngest, one of two of the youngest in her class because she started kindergarten when she was 4. And I remember we had the conversation with her teacher, and her teacher was like, technically, she probably shouldn't even start kindergarten until next year. But when she came in, she was she was keeping up. So there was no need to make her wait to do kindergarten when she turned,
Mhm.
next the following year. But I can totally understand that because there is like a form of mom guilt because you do feel like, well, damn, did I let my kid down and did I not best prepare my child for the next step and next phase in their life? But it's okay. They're going to be okay.
They'll
Like
be fine.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, they are going to be fine.
Right.
And we as parents really have to allow ourselves to give ourselves some grace because it's not easy raising children. You can't see everything. You're not going to hit all angles, but you do the best that you can
But what you got?
with what you have, the resources that you have, the help that you have, whatever it is, those babies are going to be fine.
Right.
Right? And if there's still more cause for concern after that, then we take that step and we start going through the evaluations and we get the help that we think our child needs and we do all the things that we need to do. But outside of that, like they're gonna be fine. You also have to give them time. They're just not on the same time limit as other kids. That's all. Some kids are more advanced than others. That is a fact. But that doesn't mean your child is behind just because you see another child their same age performing at what appears to be a higher level.
Right.
That's all. Agreed?
That's good.
Yeah. All right, guys. So this has been another episode of Life After I Do. Don't forget if you guys want to write into us, if you have any questions or anything like that, you can send us an email at lifeafteridopodcast@gmail.com.
Sliding them DMs.
Yes, don't forget to
That's not my
follow
DM.
us on all of our socials, TikTok, Instagram, like and follow the Facebook page, as well as YouTube, Life After I Do podcast.
And OnlyFans.
We're not on OnlyFans, you guys. We're not on OnlyFans. I don't know why he said that. We're not on OnlyFans. But yeah, it's been another episode. And until next week,
We out.
we're out.
Peace.
Peace.